But by far, the ABA's preeminent team was the Indiana Pacers.
Who's your favorite player on the Pacers?
I like Darnell Hillman.
Tom Boosie.
Freddie Lewis.
Billy Keller.
Billy Keller.
Why?
I don't know, he's just cute.
Shoots these three-pointers, it just turns me on.
George McGinnis. I like George McGinnis.
What do you like about Big George?
Everything.
And it was a love affair that began to blossom. You could go to the Coliseum, which held 10,000 people. The roar was so deafening, you couldn't hear the vendor who was trying to take your cocoa. Everybody in this community had a role with the team. Everybody felt like they owned the team.
We all liked each other. We were like a big family. There was no color lines. There was nothing. Even during the off season, it was everybody together. We'd go out and do some things that I can't say on camera, but we'd all have a good time.
Take over out there. Now call them on the way up the floor. Let's go. Do it. We'll keep it moving.
I said if we win 3 in a row on the road, then I'll have a party up at the room for you. Well, then I had to change it. I had to change to 4 on the road and 5 on the road because, babe, these guys got the place where they were playing for that party. And I couldn't afford it.
The Pacers played in 5 ABA championship games and won 3, including 2 in a row in 1972 and 1973. They were unlike any other ABA team, a model organization in every aspect of the game, the envy of the league both on and off the court.
Teams wanted to be more like the Pacers. You know, they wanted to have a small point guard who could shoot three-pointers, like a Billy Keller, some long-range guys like Roger Brown, Bob Nedelicki, and some power players inside like Mel Daniels, George McGinnis, Darnell Hillman. They always got the crowd involved in the game. They were not a boring team to watch. They were very exciting. They were an exciting team to play against. Sometimes when you played against them, you ended up watching them. And if it was one of those nights when they just had it all in sync, they were a beautiful team to watch. And there are very few teams that have ever played the way that they played in those early ABA years.
It has to be kind of a lonely...
Not every ABA team had as much going for them as the Pacers. With most of its franchises located in small media markets, the league wasn't too humble to beg for any kind of publicity.
Covering the ABA in those days was an utter joy because players were happy to see anyone show up. Coaches, general managers, owners, whoever you wanted to talk to. Bang. If you wanted to do a story, they'd send you a plane ticket. They'd do anything to market their programming.
I wrote a great story about a player in Miami. The next morning, he sent a prostitute to my room. I opened the doors, it was a beautiful lady, and I said, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "I've been paid for. The player would like to tell you how much he enjoyed the story you wrote about him yesterday."
We felt in the ABA that we needed to give the fans not just good basketball, but good entertainment. Liven up the games. Get it to be where a person would come out and spend $5, $6 and have a wonderful night out.
Everything was a giveaway.
Every time in Indiana that a player made a three-point basket, you got 10 cents off a gallon of gasoline.
We had ice cream eating contests.
Girl Scouts night, free Cub Scouts night.
Indians wrestling alligators at half court.
They were creative out of necessity, perhaps. These guys, again, were businessmen, and they're saying, well, now, wait a minute. We've got to be a little different here. We're not going to be on television. We've got to make the guy leave the arena and think, geez, I was entertained tonight. This was fun.
Early on, the ABA recognized the importance of promoting and marketing its players. One of the first to benefit was Wendell Ladner, a marginal player with an unusual number of female fans.
He would dive on the floor after balls. He would jump over press tables. He would do it all. Most of the time, he was looking for a young lady's lap to jump in.
He looked like Rhett Butler. He had women all over him all the time.
That was a well-earned reputation, I would say. He was the only guy I'd ever seen on an airplane. By the time we got off the plane, he had the phone number of every stewardess on the airplane. He could collect them all the way up and down the aisle.
Wendell was the ABA's answer to Burt Reynolds. He would fix his hair at halftime. He would fix his hair at timeouts. And we even did a poster of Wendell laying on the benches within the locker room. There are very, very few of them left today. They are collector's item for a lot of young ladies.
The 1975 All-Star Game proved that not all ABA promotions were foolproof.
The gifts were just unbelievable. everything from fine wines to bowling balls to luggage to radios to cameras, even to fishing lures. Everybody received the royal treatment. Willie Nelson played. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. But my biggest task was to create an award for the most valuable player in the game. We came up with the idea of getting a quarter horse. And we traded with a horse trader from South Texas and got a quarter horse that was supposedly wonderful, named Tough Julie. A Texas quarter horse by the name of Tough Julie. No, we're not talking about Julius Erving of the New York Nets, but Tough Julie, a 3-year-old Texas quarter horse, and the most valuable player will receive that quarter horse, plus a saddle and bridle and all of the things a good cowboy should have. Freddie Lewis turned out to be the most valuable player. We awarded Freddie the horse, and he got a saddle.
And I put the hat on my head, and the hat wouldn't go anywhere but right on the side of my head because my afro was so big. The horse never got any of its shots.
3 weeks later, Tough Julie died, sadly, and Freddie lost his all-star gift.
Surrounded by hype and hoopla, an ABA game felt like a circus sideshow. In many arenas, the play wasn't always the thing. Like Miami, where the weather was hot and the ball girls hotter.
We're sitting here in an area, South Florida, that didn't care much about pro basketball. We used to say that our mascot was some 68-year-old guy with a cane. So we were looking for these extra things that might draw fans, anything you think, and one of the things we came up with was the ball girls.
It was marketing at its best. During their 4 mundane seasons in the sun, the Floridians were a team whose ball girls made more of an impression than the players. Must have been the uniforms.
These were some serious peonies that these gals had.
Nobody's ever said that they didn't pay attention to a pretty woman.
Try to disrupt the opposing team at the free throws and stuff by planting them right there underneath the basket.
They might even stand up and wiggle a little bit when the opposition was shooting free throws.
Anytime a team played on TV, you could never get a married guy to sit on the end of the bench. It may be the only chair left down there for them to sit in, but because they didn't want to hear from their wives when they got home, they were not going to sit down at that end of the bench. If you were a rookie, you didn't have a choice. You were going to move. When the games were not on TV, everybody wanted to sit at the end of the bench.